Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to my channel. In CDP classes, today's our topic is learning. Psychology of learning is an applied branch combining the theories of psychology and ways of learning. It is the scientific study of human behavior in the fields of education research, employment, and other related sectors. The main concern of using psychology of learning is to find principles and techniques related to the growth of students or employees. Learning is something that can unite different professional. The brain retains information and facilitates the process of learning. This is an experience acquisition process and can be a very strategic approach to build retention of information and modification of experience. Here are some categories of learning. Now we see that types of learning process. The learning process as a whole can have various categories. Here are some of the most important types of learning process. First of all is attitude learning. Positive and negative behavior may completely depend on the attitude of an individual, and it can also shape the learning process too. It it is totally right. Now our next topic is concept learning. The learning associated with the things which individuals learn since their childhood is concept learning. It may include cognitive process like intelligence, thinking and reasoning. Next one is learning of principles. Principle based learning can help individuals finish their work in a much more efficient way. Next one is motor learning. It includes learning and improving everyday skills that include muscles coordination such as driving, running and walking. Next one is discrimination learning. This includes learning to behave differently depending on the situation. Now our next main topic is learning curve. Now we see about what is a learning curve. The learning curve is defined as the correlation between a learner's performance on a task or activity and the number of attempts or time required to complete the activity. Next one is types of learning curve. Here are some common types of learning curves. First one is diminishing returns. In the diminishing returns curve, the rate of progression increases rapidly at the start of learning and decreases over time. You can see the graph diminishing returns. The graph above describes a situation where a task or activity may be easier to learn, initially resulting in a fast and rapid progression. Activities that follow a diminishing returns learning curve are more straightforward when measuring and predicting how the performance and output of the workforce will change over time. In terms of decisions making, this result means that the employee is performing well, but you need to keep the cost down after the initial plateau. The next one is our second point is increasing returns. In the increasing returns curve, the rate of progression is slow at the start and rises over time until full proficiency in is achieved. You can see the graph of increasing returns. You can see in graph describes a situation where a complex task is learned with the learning rate being prolonged initially. In terms of decisions making, no action items are required here as the initial cost of slow learning is quickly returned upon reaching the high efficiency phase. However, if the rest of the data shows that the task should not take very long for employees to learn, this graph is taken as an indication to modify your employer training method. Next one is S curve. This increasing decreasing return learning curve model is the most commonly cited learning curve known as the S curve model. The bottom of this curve indicates slow learning as a learner works to master the skills and takes some time to do so. The latter half demonstrates that the learner is now taking less time to complete it. Task and has become proficient in the skills. At this point, the learner's performance will level off, after which only slight increases can be expected over time. This type of learning curve may be encountered when a new productivity tool is introduced to employees. If the plateau is closer to the x axis, it represents a highly efficient performance. On the other hand, if the plateau is closer to the top half of the graph, performance may not be as efficient in terms of decision making. Take a closer Take a closer look at the training method and other variables that impact the cost of ongoing performance in the plateau phase. The next one is complex curve. The complex learning curve represents a more complex learning pattern and reflects more extensive tracking. You can see the graph. This suggests that the task being measured is challenging to learn and takes a certain amount of practice before an employee becomes proficient. This suggests that the task being measured is challenging to learn and takes a certain amount of practice before an employee becomes proficient. Stage 1 is indicates a slower initial learning phase. Stage 2 is shows an increase indicating that the learner is becoming proficient in the skill. Stage 3 is indicates that the learner is plateauing in his proficiency once they have mastered the skill. Stage 4 is represents that the learner is still working on improving the skill. Now stage 5 represents the point at which the skill becomes automatic muscles memory of the learner, also known as overlearning. The complex learning curve model looks different for each activity. Individual or group learners encounter multiple peaks, the plateaus, when learning tasks with complex learning curves. For decision making, look for ways to improve training or reduce cost by hiring candidates who already have the experience required to reach peak efficiency for this task. The learning curve model helps monitor various aspects of company performance and identify areas that need improvement. It provides insights into employee training and performance, but some limitations exist. Let's examine some key advantages and disadvantages of the learning curve model. Thanks for watching my video. Allah Hafiz.